are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 212 of the College Loop Podcast. Sorry, I got all my stuff all out of whack today. Today we are here to talk to y'all today about the latest in Auburn football, Auburn baseball, and Auburn track and field news today on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Just to get started with it, Auburn had a huge recruiting weekend this past weekend, picking up two big pickups in the class of 2025, one being Broderick Scholl, the offensive tackle out of Bixby, Oklahoma, and the other one being Donovan Starr, a athletic cornerback coming out of Ravenwood and Brentwood, Tennessee. Brings Auburn up to the number 9 class in the class of 2025. And War Eagle, Teresa, it's a big War Eagle for that. I mean, Auburn's class has taken a fair share of decommitments going into this recruiting class, but slowly turning it around. You now got a big, three big offensive linemen to kind of build the exterior of your offensive line around. You have Ty Buster, who's going to be really good on the interior. I think that they've done a great job of picking up guys who fill the roles that they need to fill. Broderick Scholl, currently listed as a 3-star on 24/7, but a 4-star composite. He's definitely going to turn some heads and could end up getting a 5-star eventually. I know I said that a lot, but this kid is a menace. I've seen several highlights of him just tearing through people like it's nobody's business. It is just a treat to watch. So I'm very excited to see what he is. And we've talked about him a few times on the show before, watching him. I think he got committed, or not. He committed last week, but there was a time where he got crystal balled. There was a lot of hype around him, and we talked about him a few months ago, I think. So I won't do the full the words are hard analysis of him, but he is 6'5", 275, so he is going to be a dog. What's up, Chris? War Eagle to you as well. So Donovan Starr is the guy who I wasn't surprised that Auburn picked him up. I did Saturday and today and Friday. This past week has just been outstanding in terms of Auburn getting guys who probably Auburn didn't really have a chance with a couple of years ago. Probably never even heard from Auburn. Hugh Freeze has been very adamant on that. It's been so fun to watch a heavily focused on recruiting Auburn football staff. And I said it on the last show, and I got some facts wrong on the last episode, but this has been so fun to watch. And of course I'm only 24 years old. So I've only consciously got to see the past 4. I guess the last 5. I guess I got the back end of Tommy Tuberville. I got to watch all of Gene Chizik, the highs and the very lows. Gus Malzahn, his ups and downs, and then a potato guy. But out of all of those, I don't think I've ever seen a coach that committed to the recruiting side of things. I haven't seen that. That's just not something I'm used to seeing as an Auburn fan. And especially nowadays, it is just so fun to watch. And it's even more fun to make all the graphics as they come out, because I am just so stoked watching these recruits come in. And I know there's a lot of guys, a lot of fans want Juju Lewis being one of those guys. I don't know how likely Auburn is to get some of the higher end quarterbacks. I do know that they're still recruiting a lot of the guys, but I don't know how likely I'm going to fall on the side of Auburn's going to get Juju Lewis. That seems kind of out there for me right now. But right now, I mean, we got Walker White, who all the quarterbacks or all the wide receivers are getting behind, especially the Freeze 4. If you've not followed the Freeze 4 on YouTube yet, go do that. I don't know what kind of content they're going to be posting, but Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman are on TikTok a lot too. So that's a lot of fun watching all those guys build that chemistry that they got through the recruiting. But again, just so cool to watch. Auburn stands number 9 in the class 2025, and I believe also 9 in the class 2026. So getting consistent with it. But in today's episode of the College Loop, we are here to rank and give my top 5 Tigers that I think are going to break out in 2024. I didn't really. I made sure to keep the Freeze 4 off this list. It'd be too easy if I just put Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman on this list. So there are a couple of guys you probably could expect, but I think everyone can pretty much agree with me on this. Coming in number 5, I have Jalen McLeod, the edge rusher, transferring in from Appalachian State. I almost forgot where we picked him up from. Came in, played last year for Auburn, of course. Dealt with some injuries, but whenever he got in, he looked amazing. So you're going to see a fully healthy Jalen McLeod. Definitely picked up some guys behind him, so Auburn has some more depth before they have to start going to the freshmen. Of course, Kieran Crawford right behind him. I think that it's going to be really fun watching Jalen McLeod. He is probably one of the most not talked about, but most fun players to watch on this team. I mean, he is so high energy. He is going to be a leader on this defensive line. I think that looking at the two ends of the defensive line in McLeod and, of course, in Keldrick Falk, is going to be very fun to watch how their chemistry builds. Because I think that this could be a Auburn defensive line that could get some pressure on the quarterback, get some sacks. I don't think this is not going to be as big of a D line as Auburn had in 2019, but I think it comes to that in terms of athleticism. Because my number 4 guy on this list is Philip Bleedy, the Indiana transfer from this past offseason. I think he adds a lot to the defensive tackle position in terms of speed and strength. I think he does a great job of combining that within his own and within himself. I think that as soon as he committed to Auburn, I think he was on the D line right away. I think he was an immediate starter. And Auburn didn't really miss at all in the defensive line position. Now, you brought back Jason Jones. You got Terrell Carter. You got Philip Bleedy, of course. And there's one guy that's blanking off the top of my head right now, which does, in fact, suck. I hate that he's blanking now because it's going to bother me until I find out what his name is, because I'm gonna load it up real quick. So I feel terrible that I just immediately forgot the one Gage Keys, Kansas. That's who I'm forgetting. Yeah, but Auburn didn't really miss any of those guys. You build up a lot of depth on the defensive line, and especially on the interior. You lost Marcus Harris, which you were going to because he just played so well, and he got drafted. It was a steal in the draft by that matter. He lost Justin Rogers too, and of course he got some guys to the portal. But Justin Rogers, I think the nose tackle position, you're really going to be missing his width. And just what he did to fill up gaps in the hole in the offensive line. And you got with Terrell Carter and Jason Jones probably kind of combining in the nose tackle position, and Philip Bleedy and Gage Keith kind of filling out the defensive tackle position. Of course, behind him, you have a lot of freshmen who are going to be very, very good that can fill in probably right away. Malik Blockton is probably one of my favorite players that doesn't get talked about from this past recruiting cycle, especially because I got to actually see him play, and he is just an absolute menace on defensive line. So I'm very stoked about this defensive line. Just in general, I was kind of iffy last year because I didn't really know what to expect. But this year, I think Auburn picked up a lot of great guys, brought in a lot of even better guys from last year. So that's why my number 5 and number 4 both on the defensive line. Moving to the offense, going back a couple of steps to the defense. I have Jaron Thompson as a potential breakout player for Auburn at the free safety position. Last year, free safety was a all-around outstanding, a great position to watch because you had Jalen Simpson absolutely just mossing wide receivers, basically playing wide receiver in the backfield. I don't think I've ever seen a safety have as much ball hawking and playmaking ability outside of wide receivers than I have with Jalen Simpson. I know it was kind of like word vomit, but Jalen Simpson could have played wide receiver if he wanted to. That's just what the level of play I saw out of Jalen Simpson coming out of last year. I think Jaron Thompson can do that in terms of. I don't think he'll get as many interceptions as Simp did, but I think that he'll be. I don't think the leadership will take a step back. You automatically saw how good he was in A-Day. He got the defensive MVP, so he already is making an impact on the defensive side of the ball. I think that it is very fun to watch Auburn's defensive backroom just continue to just be one of the best in the league, and not just the league, in the NCAA. And Auburn, unsung DBU, if I must say so myself. They don't get enough credit as they do, sending 3 defensive backs to the NFL this past year, but that's not here or there. But yeah, I think Jaron Thompson, I think he adds a lot athletically, and just his size alone, I think he's going to make a lot of big tackles. I think if you see any potential, I don't want to say that from the safety position because I Smoke Monday nightmare still lives on of how many times he got ejected for targeting. But you're going to see a lot of big hits coming from Jaron Thompson. He's going to lay the hit stick out. He is going to make some noise back there, and he is just going to be absolutely fun to watch. I mean, the entire secondary is going to be. I'm getting very close to just getting my bug glasses out and wearing those because I'm very excited for this defense. And I know everyone's on the freeze four and all the breakout players on the offense side of the ball. This defense is going to be something to watch. It's going to be very fun to watch because last year the defense was good. The defense was very good last year. In terms of what the team was, the defense made a lot of key plays, a lot of key stops, and basically helped win Auburn a lot of their games. So going into this year, I think you're really going to have that again with an improved offense, which does kind of calculate to more wins on the field. And I think you're getting that because I think from the transfer portal perspective, everyone was wanting Auburn to really hit home runs on the transfer portal, but when you're so heavy on high school recruiting, you don't really need to go for all the home run targets in the transfer portal. Hugh Freeze even came out and said that he didn't even feel the need to go for another quarterback because why would he get another quarterback if he can just develop the ones he has, which is honestly one of the best opinions a coach could have on the transfer portal. Yeah, in a world where the transfer portal is such a what's the word I'm looking at? I want to say money laundering, but a money focused thing. You get a lot of hear about the NIL a lot. You hear about amenities. You hear about all this stuff, and to hear a coach kind of come out and just say, "I'm not going for a quarterback," because a lot of other guys. Auburn could have went after Grayson McCall again, but they didn't, and he went to NC State. Auburn could have tried to bid more than Miami did for Cam Ward. They didn't. Which is a lot of fun to watch, which brings me to my number two guy on this list. Peyton Thorne is on my list for my top 5 breakout players in 2024. Last year, very mediocre year for Peyton Thorne. Got here late. I don't really know how much of the playbook he really kind of understood. That's why they kind of had to switch back from Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne. But you're getting a full playbook of Peyton Thorne this year. You are getting Peyton Thorne as the best quarterback on the roster this year. You're not going to get – of course, you're going to have some fans who are going to be anti-Thorne. Let's get Holden out there. Let's go ahead and throw Walker White out to the Sharks. Let's get the chosen one and Hank Brown out there. I think the best case scenario for Auburn in any situation will always result in Peyton Thorne being the quarterback. I think if you're looking for Cam Coleman and Keandre Lambert-Smith, Robert Lewis, Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons, Bryce Kane, Sam Jackson V, Camden Brown, all those guys, Bravado Fairweather, if you're looking for those guys to have their best possible years they can, you have to keep Peyton Thorne on the field. He is the veteran guy in the quarterback room. He's going to be your most developed guy. Of course, you're not going to get anything outwardly special. I don't think you're going to get a Heisman campaign out of Peyton Thorne. But he's going to be in the top half of the SEC in quarterback play. And of course, that's kind of setting a low bar, but he doesn't have to do anything more than that. There were a lot of quarterbacks in the SEC last year who threw for 3,000 plus yards on teams that didn't do as well or weren't there in the postseason. But you're going to have guys like Peyton Thorne who are going to help lead their teams to 8, 7, 9 wins just by getting 2,500 yards. If Auburn gets a solid 2,500 yards out of Peyton Thorne in 2024, they are going to win 8+ games. And I don't even know. I don't feel that's a hot take whatsoever. I feel like that is set in stone. If you get that level of play from Peyton Thorne, you're getting the best possible level of this offense. Because I honestly understood the fact that in the Music City Bowl, you got a lot of hype out of watching Hank Brown and what he did in the last whatever minutes were left of garbage time. And I guess it was kind of fun to watch the freshmen kind of come in, but it kind of comes along the same scenario as going back to the 2017 national championship, Georgia and Alabama. A lot of Auburn fans said that Tua wasn't really good, but he came in because he came on hurt legs. It could be that kind of scenario either way. But Hugh Freeze is a known quarterback whisperer. He is known for his development of his quarterbacks at any given time, any given place he's been, his quarterbacks always get the highest level of play, especially going from their first year to their second year. You saw Bo Wallace, you saw Chad Kelly, you saw Malik Willis, and of course he could have had Caden Salter for another year, who Caden Salter is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You're going to get a good Peyton Thorne this year, and I stand by that. I don't know how likely I am to go buy his jersey like I was Robbie Ashford. It was a nice time as president of the Robbie Ashford fan club. I'm retiring as of now, focusing on all Auburn quarterbacks. And I did also learn that I went through the team shop. It's kind of off tangent, just because I went to the team shop, looked at the jerseys again. And I thought about getting 2 jerseys. I'm going to wait for them to update it and get a Dylan Gentry jersey and put it back there, because that'd be just the funniest thing ever. Or I was going to buy a Javarius Johnson jersey for that update and then call it a Jeremy Johnson jersey, because I'm always going to be a big Jeremy Johnson fan. So if you have an opinion on what jersey I should get next, let me know either in the live stream or comments, or tweet at me what jersey I should get next. But yeah, Peyton Thorne, number 2, going to break out, going to be really good. If Auburn gets 8 or 9 wins, it's going to be because Peyton Thorne was out there balling like he should. That leaves me number 1 guy, keeping it offensive on the opposite side of the ball. I got Jarquez Hunter. I think this is probably one of the most widely accepted guys who are destined for a breakout, no matter who you ask. It's Jarquez Hunter. I think I purposely left all the Freeze 4 off this list. I've mentioned that before. But I feel like for the entirety of the Freeze 4 to really kind of show out, and of course you're going to see Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson right away. You're probably going to see Malcolm Simmons probably interchange between special teamer and on the field, and same with Bryce Kane as well. You're going to get those 2 right away. But Jarquez Hunter, I think I've said it a couple of times before. It is shocking to me that he has not gotten that 1,000-yard rushing yet. Sorry, my cameras. I just saw my camera was like a little high up. You haven't gotten 1,000 yards out of Jarquez Hunter yet. And I'm going to cough real quick. So give me 2. So yeah, you haven't seen a 1,000-yard season out of Jarquez Hunter. You've seen seasons where he's kind of stood out as a backup behind Tank Bigsby. You saw last year kind of stepped up. Didn't get to play the first part of the year. So I'm not going to dive into that whatsoever. But Auburn's running back room is still very loaded. With Hunter, Alston, and Cobb, of course. You're going to see a lot of the running backs. And I know everyone's excited to see the Freeze 4 to go for 1,000 yards each. Auburn's quarterbacks throw for 5,000 yards. You're still going to get a heavily emphasized run game. This is going to be an RPO offense, and you're going to see Jarquez Hunter get the ball pretty often. And I think you're going to see him get that 1,000-yard mark. You're going to see him probably get 10-plus touchdowns. You're going to see a lot of Jarquez Hunter, and this is his last year. It's the last time Jarquez Hunter is going to be the running back for the Auburn Tigers before you get into Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, and whoever Auburn picks up in class 2025. You're going to see that level of play out of them. And of course, Derek Nix is the running backs coach. And he's going to get, he's even spoke about how great these guys have been thus far in the spring. Jarquez Hunter is destined for one. If I were to pick out any single player on the team who I think is more deserving of a breakout year, it is Jarquez Hunter. I think he's been the most patient. I think a lot of people thought he was going to transfer out last year, not 2023, but 2022, transfer out 2022. And he did it. He stuck with Auburn. He stood as the starting running back. And he's going to be that again. I will put, I don't know what I'll put down, but I'm willing to put down a lot on the fact that I think Jarquez Hunter is going to get that 1,000 yards. He is already listed as one of the top running backs in the SEC, if not the best, second best. I think it's like interchanging with, I'm trying to remember who it is. I think some people say Travis Etienne, but I don't believe that whatsoever. But I'm really on board with Jarquez Hunter's breakout year in 2024. I think you're going to see that from him. I think he wants that for him. The coaches want that for him. The team's going to want that for him. The offensive line is much improved. I mean, he was only 80-something yards away from it last year. Auburn went and got Percy Lewis. They went and kept Dylan Wade to develop him. They're still developing Too Tall, who is, if he develops well, he's going to be an absolute menace as a right tackle. You got Connor Liu, who can, as a true sophomore, could throw around 6-year seniors who are 400 pounds. That's just, again, I'm probably just need to find my book glasses real quick because they probably need to be worn right now. Me talking about Jarquez Hunter just being that level of running back. I think you're going to go into the draft thinking that Jarquez Hunter is going to be one of the running backs taken. And of course, the running back position in the NFL, not as heavily emphasized in the offensive side of the ball as it is in college, but you're going to see guys look at Jarquez Hunter and be like, I can do something with him. I can use a running back that athletic. I can use a running back that's that fast. I can use a running back that's that strong, all in one body. Jarquez Hunter has a lot of the tools that were in Tank Bigsby. I think he's faster than Tank Bigsby. I think he's stronger than Tank Bigsby. I think he's more agile than Tank Bigsby. And you just haven't seen it on the field yet in terms of getting all those yards. You've seen plays, you've seen games, you've seen seasons where he's looked like one of the top running backs, but you've never gotten the stat sheet to where it's like 1,000 yards this year. Because, of course, I don't believe that's like entirely true. The fact that your running backs are based on how many 1,000-yard rush seasons they have. Of course, the NFL, if you have 4, 5, 6,000-yard seasons, you're one of the greats. I think you're finally going to start hearing people say that about Jarquez Hunter. I think he's earned that. I don't know where he stands in the rushing yards as a whole, but I think Jarquez Hunter could find his way in like a top 10 Auburn running backs of all time list. I know I don't feel like that's very low, but you're just going to see that from him. So I'm very excited to see where these guys come out. If you have a guy that you think is going to break out in 2024, let me know in the comment section below. Tweet at me, whatever you want to do. But before we get into the rest of the last couple of things on the show, I got a little commercial for y'all about some merch. So if you got any merch yet, you got a week till Father's Day. And of course, after that, I don't know all the holidays to give people stuff. Off the top of my head, in between now and I guess Christmas would be the next like giving day. But the College Loop hat, which I'm wearing right now, and the Feeling Loopy t-shirt, which I'm also wearing right now, repping the brand always. $25 each in the Warport shop. And I'll play the commercial for y'all, just in case you're on the fence of what you want to get. So we'll be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes, looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your College Loop hat. And you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. And of course, what I forgot to mention in that commercial is the fact that the Feelin' Loopy t-shirt, it's the most comfortable shirt you're ever going to wear in your entire life. That's 100% guaranteed. 10 out of 10 doctors recommend the Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. If you're ever having a bad day, if you need something to comfort you whenever Auburn football, basketball, baseball, softball, track and field, which they didn't really disappoint, golf also didn't disappoint, any of those just have one bad game and it ruins your entire day. The Feelin' Loopy t-shirt, it'll comfort you. You'll feel right as rain right after wearing it. Of course, College Loop hat, which is one of the newest items on there. Also very comfortable hat. I really enjoy it. I wear this hat every day. If you ever see me out in public, I'm wearing this hat. And of course I have a lot of hats in case you weren't aware. I realize there's one missing back there. I can go fix that after the show. But with that, we'll move on to the last couple of things on the show. I think it's worth mentioning right away that not only did Auburn win the national championship in golf, they also won a national championship for the 4x100 relay just this past week. And, of course, winning that in Oregon. It just really fun to watch Auburn win championships in sports that don't really get noticed that much. And I'm going to try to read their names. No one can get mad at me trying to. So I got Azim Fahmy, Kenyon Sola Ajayi, Dario Matau, and Mekaniki Sharamba. That is a very, I know I got every single one of those names wrong, but I would not feel right if I did not say the guys who gave Auburn the national title. I just want to say this real quick. This could be a quote graphic. In 2024, only one school, one SEC school in the state of Alabama has won a single national title. And there's only been one school in the state of Alabama who's won 2. It's Auburn. Golf and 4x100. Auburn is an everything school. Let that be known. Auburn, everything school. And then last news we got before we kind of get started to get out of here. Eric Snow transfers to the Auburn Tigers. Eric Snow, a shortstop coming out of USF last year for the Bulls, batted a 2.48, ran in 14 runs, only had 1 home run this year, but came in as a pinch hitter, bats very well, had a better year in 2023, but also a very good shortstop. Fielded a 9.48, 9.65 in his career. Auburn's making some noise in the transfer portal. There's a lot of other guys I saw. There's I think UConn pitcher who was in the portal. I think it was UConn. I scrolling by and I saw it. Very interested in Auburn. I think that we're going to see a shift in baseball this year. Next year. I don't think you're ever going to see 2 bad seasons in a row from Butch Thompson. I don't think that a lot of people, or not a lot of people, the loud minority of people thought Auburn should fire Butch Thompson after the year that he had. And I didn't really agree with that. I think a lot of people didn't agree with that, and the coaches didn't agree with that. And of course Auburn didn't agree with that either, because he's coming back for next year as well. You saw a lot of good come from Auburn, but there was a lot that was paired with a lot of bad. This team could mold into something great next year. You probably could see another Auburn headline of the SEC next year. You never know, because it's been 3 very different years back to back to back. I don't think that anyone in their right mind would ever think that Butch Thompson could not bring Auburn to glory in baseball. I think that you can see that very soon. I think of the coaches right now, of course, I would probably put Butch Thompson as the second of the major sport. Let me go of the major sports. I think that Butch Thompson is the closest of the second closest of the major sports to win a national title. Of course, it's going to be right behind Bruce Pearl, who just turned his roster into a veteran onslaught of people. All but 2 guys are seniors or 5th years or graduates. But Butch Thompson is the most underrated coach in the SEC. He is, and I think he got a lot of flack for this year. I think he's already Auburn's best baseball coach of all time. So right behind him is Hal Baird. I'll go and say it, right behind him. Hopefully I don't get a lot of old heads mad at me for saying that. But I'm very excited for this year. I know this past year was very rough, and I just wanted to say, kind of get over it, move on the next year. I mean, I don't want Auburn to ever be next year's our year kind of people. But I'm excited for Auburn baseball again. Going into next year, I think they're going to pick up a lot of people in the portal. I think they're going to get a lot of high schoolers coming in. Of course, it sucks you're going to lose Chris Stanfield, but I think Auburn can get to the portal and hopefully kind of get someone who can give the same level of production as Chris Stanfield. I know he's going to be a very hard outfielder to replace, because he has been one of the best since he came onto the Plains. But if Butch can do that, it's going to be a good year for Auburn. So I'll kind of get out of here. We're probably going to get out here around the 30-minute mark. Nice little short live stream today. So going to go ahead and start off with, I am Dylan Larck, at your boy Tank on Twitter. And, of course, got me on Dylan Larck on Instagram as well. That's going to be DYLENLARCK. And, of course, your boy the Tank is at YABOY the Tank. That's going to be on Twitter. Or X, whatever you're wanting to call it. And, of course, you can find me right here in the College Loop Podcast. We should like, comment, subscribe. Leave your thoughts for your top 5 breakout players for Auburn football in 2024. And, of course, leave your thoughts on some of the big pickups Auburn got in recruiting this past week. And who do you predict Auburn's going to pick up next? Let's see your crystal balls. That came out funny. But of course, you can find me you can find the College Loop on all social media platforms: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all of those at the College Loop. And of course, on podcasts as well. If you're tired of seeing my face, but not hearing my voice, check me out on Spotify, Apple School Podcast, and of course, Amazon Music. All of those, again, at the College Loop. But of course, all that being said, thank you for all of you for tuning in. War Eagle, and this, of course, has been the College Loop Podcast.